Alright, so this one's out of the Lost Book of Herbal Remedies. And this one is how to harvest herbs. All herbal medicines start as living beings. They are not always what most people traditionally think of as herbs. Medicines come from trees, flowers, roots, mushrooms, lichens, and more. While those who are interested in herbal medicines tend to grow in herb garden, some are harvested from plants that grow in the wild. It is a useful skill to learn how to identify medicine in the wild. When looking at pictures for plant identification, cinnamon. Be sure to look at the pictures that depict plants in the various stages of their life cycle. A good plant identification guide for your area is essential. And that is true, and I need to get one for this area.
Cinnamon,
what are you doing?
I'll get her.
Many people know flower identification, but when the plants are not in flower, they can't identify them. Considering how short the flowering season is for most plants, that severely limits the amount of time for harvest. Before even thinking about harvesting herbs, it is necessary to understand how the herb will be used. Specifically, what part of a plant will be used for medicinal purposes. Never assume that the whole plant carries the same chemical compounds. Often, only the leaves or the flower will provide what you need, but in some cases it will be the bark of a tree or a piece of root that you will need to harvest. It is best to harvest herbs early in the day, after the dew is gone, but before the hot sun can dry off the essential oils. Whenever possible, avoid harvesting the whole plant, unless it is a plant that needs to be collected whole.
This is at 100.
Okay?
I'm just letting you know.
Please, don't hit my phone.
I'm not going to.
If you are harvesting leaves, you will usually cut off small branches, making it easier to dry them. For flowers, wait until they develop fully and harvest them as soon as possible after they've fully opened. If you are harvesting only the seeds, you'll need to wait until the seeds mature and the seed pod dries on the stem before harvesting. We give harvesting instructions for almost every herb in this book. If you are cutting part of a stem, such as harvesting stinging nettle, be sure to leave at least a few inches of leafy stem, with at least 2 sets of leaves on it so the plant doesn't die. Always cut right above the point where the leaves are. With many plants, like basil, you can cut the plant down to 1/3 its original size without killing it. Always reseed, replant, and tend the wild when possible. Harvest ethically with great care. Alright, the next one, I'm just going to go ahead and include that one in this one. How to dry herbs. Traditionally, herbs are air-dried without the use of any additional heat source. Bundle them together by tying the stems with a string or rubber band and hang in a warm, dry place. It is usually easiest to hang them upside down by the bundled stems to dry. Drying racks may be used for individuals who are drying a lot of herbs or doing so regularly. But you can accomplish the same thing by hanging them from a coat hanger, from a nail in the wall, or on a curtain rod over the window. Often spread flowers or leaves on a cookie sheet or pizza pan and let them dry. If you are collecting the seeds, tie a paper bag over the bundled stems and hang them. The bag will catch the seeds as the seed pods dry and they fall out. Drying in this manner can take as long as 3 weeks, though it is often accomplished much faster, depending on the plant and its moisture content. If you are drying something that dries extremely slowly, like rosemary, it is easier to strip the leaves off of the stems and spread them on a drying rack, as the coating of the leaves will hold the moisture. They need to be fully dry before sorting. It is possible to dry herbs with a dehydrator if you have one of the better ones that has temperature control. Ideally, it should have a fan to circulate the warm air, allowing the entire batch to dry evenly. To avoid singeing or burning the herbs that you are drying, you'll need to use the lowest possible temperature. I've used this method successfully many times. If using a dehydrator, it is very important to keep a close eye on your herbs so you don't leave them to dry too long. Once dried, remove the leaves from the stems, In the case of smaller leaves, you can strip them from the stem by lightly pinching the stem between your thumb and forefinger and running it down the stem from the top to the bottom. However, in the case of larger leaves with thicker stems, you will need to cut or pinch them off individually, cutting the stems as near the leaf as possible. Store your dried herbs in sealed glass jars until you are ready to use them. And that was how to harvest herbs and how to dry herbs. And I'm going to stop there because the next ones out of here is going to be encapsulating powdered herbs and herbal water infusions, hot and cold methods. All right. So I'll go ahead and get off from here. And once again, I'm going to upload this one tomorrow. And remember to do your research, you guys. It's important. I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.